Good evening. Welcome to the March 12th, 2024 meeting of the Yakima School Board. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that we offer Spanish interpretation services from Jorge with Language Connection. Oh, we have someone other than Jorge. Okay. If you need translation assistance in person, please check for a device in the back of the room. Can you translate that announcement, please?
Yes. Mi nombre es Mariby Vázquez y estoy aquí para interpretar. Si alguien necesita ayuda, tenemos el equipo en la parte de atrás. Gracias.
Gracias por tu ayuda. Okay, we also provide live streaming for the meeting. The link can be found on our webpage under Board of Directors or by going directly to www.ysd7.org/board meetings. If you wish to make a public comment this evening, there are two options available for you. The first option is for commenting on agenda items only, and the second option, which comes toward the end of the meeting, is for all other topics. In order to speak, you will need to sign two forms, a sign-in form and a guidelines form, and those are available at the table in the back and are turned into Barb. If you're interested in watching past meetings, you can find them on our webpage's YSD YouTube channel. Okay, Barb, would you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett,
Here.
Director Navarro Jr.,
Present.
Director Rice,
Here.
Vice President Villanueva,
Here.
President Walker.
Here. You all join me in the... Ready to begin. And next up, we have Word of the Month. What about the Word of the Month? The Word of the Month is grace, the quality or state of being considerate or thoughtful, disposition to or an act of or instance of kindness, courtesy, or clemency. En español, la cualidad de ser considerado o reflexivo, disposición a realizar un acto de bondad, cortesía o clemencia. Now we'll have the Yakima land economy.
Today, the schools of the Yakima School District rest on the ancestral lands of the 14 confederated tribes and bands of the Yakima Nation.
Hoy las escuelas del Distrito Escolar de Yakima descansan en las tierras ancestrales de las 14 tribus y bandas confederadas de la nación Yakima.
The people of the Yakima Nation inhabited more than 12 million acres.
La gente de la nación Yakima habitó más de 10 billones de acres.
Across Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Franklin, Grant, Kittitas, Klickitat, and Yakima counties.
En los condados de Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Grant, Franklin, Kittitas, Klickitat, y Yakima.
Today we honor those native peoples who are tied to the land through history, legends, and culture.
Hoy honramos a estos pueblos originales que están vinculados en la tierra a través de historias, leyendas y culturas.
We acknowledge our descendants who live in the world today.
Reconocemos a sus descendientes que viven en el mundo de hoy.
We thank the caretakers of this land who have lived here and continue to live here since time immemorial.
Agradezcamos a los guardianes de la tierra quienes han vivido aquí y continúan viviendo aquí desde tiempos inmemoriales.
An acknowledgement is a simple, powerful way to show respect.
Un reconocimiento es una manera simple y poderosa de mostrar respeto.
And a step toward correcting the stories and practices that erase indigenous peoples' history and culture.
Y un paso hacia la corrección de las historias y prácticas que borran la historia y la cultura de los pueblos indígenas.
It also honors the truth. También honra la verdad.
As a school district, we will continue to build upon our relations with the Yakima Nation.
Como distrito escolar, continuaremos fortaleciendo nuestras relaciones con la nación Yakima.
Thank you to our students. At this time, we'd like to take a brief moment of silence to honor the memories of 3 former Yakima Public School employees, Judy M. Frank, Donald Sublett, and Sally Esther Diaz. If you would like to access a more detailed obituary, they're available on the website. You can download them. But for now, please join me in a moment of silence in memory of those former educators. Thank you. And now, a fun part of the evening always is some special recognitions. First up, we have some members of the Yakima County School Retirees Program. Who is reading the book? I am. Okay. I thought we had delegated this part, but I guess we didn't. Well, it's always a pleasure to read this because I'm one of these folks, a Yakima County School retiree. But we'd like to recognize the Yakima County School Retirees Association is one of 29 local units which comprise the Washington State School Retirees Association. YCSRA is the largest unit in the state with nearly 1,500 members, both active and retired school employees. The Washington State School Retirees Association works for the maintenance and improvement of pension benefits for all school employees. The Board of Directors urges community members to join them in expressing our appreciation to school retirees for their dedication and hard work, and for their continuing support of education in Yakima County. Thank you so much. And then I'm going to read the names of school retiree officers, and if they're here this evening, we'd like you to come up and just make a circle through the U shape here, starting on this side, and we have a certificate for you to recognize the work that you do. Nick Schultz. Millie Stengham. Linda Trepanier. Kathy Schultz. Don't forget me, Millie. Carolyn Wilson. Sandy Gavin. Larry Scholl. Norma Haney. Peggy Young. Jan Saxton. Corrine Fortin. Paul Schaefer. I know he's here. Peggy Campbell and Patrick Walsh. And Paul informs me that former employee Harold Miller, I believe he taught at Davis, I think for a lot of years also, has passed away. So we'll add him to next month's recognition. Fine. And I believe Nick Schultz wanted to say a couple words as well.
Well, it's been a while since I got in front of a group. Anyway, I just thank you, first of all, for recognizing us. We have done many, many things in this organization, particularly in this county. We cover all the school districts in the county of Yakima. And this year, we were pleased to award over $12,000 in classroom grants. So up to $500 per grant. So in Yakima, we awarded 10 two-year employees in the amount of $3,420. So it's one of the things that we can give back, and we just can't stop being educators. That's just the way we are, you know. But anyway, thank you on behalf of the school retirees of Yakima County.
Thank you. Another important recognition this evening, we have two teachers in Yakima that are recently designated National Board Certified Teachers. The Yakima School District is proud to announce that 5 more teachers have earned certification from the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. We're honoring 2 this evening. To earn this honor, these teachers went through an often grueling, year-long introspective process, which included creating a portfolio of work to document their performance in the classroom, and a series of tests to measure their knowledge in the subjects they teach. Congratulations go to Brian Beck of Davis High School, and Laurel Cashmitter of Eisenhower High School.
Thank you very much for your support and for continuing to support Yakima educators on this important journey. It's very valuable, very rigorous, and I'm glad it's over for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have a couple important proclamations. I believe these were delegated, were they not? Okay. So first up, we have the Support Professionals Proclamation.
Yes, Mr. President, it's my honor and privilege to help to recognize this evening. I think my mic is very, very loud. It seems like it anyways. To recognize education support professionals. So whereas educational sports professionals are involved in nearly every aspect of education, maintaining buildings and grounds, preparing and serving meals, keeping school facilities clean and orderly, assisting in the classroom, providing over 60% of all instructional hours to special education students, English language learners, and the opportunity gap students, performing and conducting research activities, providing information technology and media services, administrative support functions, and safe transportation, creating a secure and healthy environment, and many other specialized services. And whereas more than 62,000 education support professionals work with and help students at Washington's universities, colleges, and public schools are the backbone of our public education system and deserve recognition and thanks for the outstanding work they do for this state. And whereas education support professionals are instrumental in fulfilling the state's responsibility to educate all students, and by supporting the learning environment they serve as crucial partners with teachers, parents, administrators, and school boards. Now, therefore, I, Jay Inslee, Governor of the State of Washington, do hereby proclaim March 2024 as Education Support Professionals Month. In Washington, I encourage all people in our state to join me in this special observance. Signed this 15th day of January 2024, Governor Jay Inslee.
Thank you, Director Navarro. Our next proclamation pertains to School Retirees Appreciation.
A proclamation from the State of Washington. Whereas Washington State recognizes the accomplishments of all retired school employees, and whereas it is important to acknowledge the value of educating and assisting retirees in meeting the special challenges retirement brings and work to improve their general welfare, and whereas school retirees and organizations like the Washington State School Retirees Association aid in advancing education by supporting high educational standards, and whereas school retiree organizations such as the WSSRA promote group and individual involvement in charitable projects and activities, sponsor scholarships, and maintain interest and participation in education and community activities. And whereas retired educators are encouraged to remain active in the education profession through volunteer activities associated with learning, therefore, Jay Inslee, the Governor of the State of Washington, hereby proclaims March 18th to 24th of 2024 as School Retirees Appreciation Week in Washington, and urges all people in our state to join him in this special observance. Signed the 30th day of October of 2023.
Thank you, Director Beckett. And thanks again to our retirees. Actually, I think they don't really retire, they just retread and keep going. Anyway, and that's kind of concludes the ceremonial part of this evening's meeting. You're welcome to stay for the really interesting stuff, but if you would like to exit the meeting and head home and do more fun things, you're certainly welcome to do either. We'll take a short break at this moment so you can take care of that. Okay, moving on with our agenda. First, we have updates from members of the board. Do we have any updates?
Yes, I have two things. One, a reminder that the proposal window for legislative proposals is open now. It opened yesterday and it closes on April 8th. If board members have any proposals that they would like to see submitted, or any existing proposals that they would like to suggest edits or corrections to, we have one more meeting between now and the deadline, and that's March 25th. Since I will be bringing one or two proposals to the board on that date for consideration of support, any other board member wishing to bring something forward, you should plan for that day. If you'd like to speak with me about any proposals that have been kind of bumping around in your head or that you've had conversations about, I'd be happy to work with you on developing proposals or reviewing to see if we have existing proposals for those topics. And then the other piece is that the legislative session is complete for now. I don't know if we'll see them come back this year or not, but for now it's over. There were, I don't know, 20 or so education type bills that may be of importance to the district. Some of them are fiscal, and staff can talk about that. There are others that we received a list yesterday from staff of proposals that are bills that affect public education. And rather than read this list, I would just point your attention to this document that we got yesterday. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. That's it for me.
Thank you, Director Rice. Any other updates from members of the board?
I do have something real quick. I do want to apprise the board that the NALEO annual conference, the 41st annual conference, is coming up in June. So it's actually June 18th to the 20th. So just want to let the board know that's coming up, and I will be submitting a request to the board for approval to attend. So this year was the 41st annual conference, and it's considered as usual during these presidential elections. It is the Latino political convention. So oftentimes they invite presidential candidates to come in and speak and talk about their vision for America, and also specific to some of the concerns in the Latino population in regards to education, which I'm very interested in. And so there'll also be discussions on policy regarding education and Latino students and how we can improve and push for priorities, right, at the state level and also at the national level. So just wanted to apprise the board of that I'll be submitting a request for approval of travel. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for representing us at that forum. Any other updates from members of the board? Okay, moving on. Dr. Green, the superintendent's update.
Thank you, President Walker, member of the board. I'd like to start out with acknowledgement of some of the individuals that we have in our audience here this evening. And that will go to the celebration of the ESD 105 Regional High School Art Show winners. And I see in the audience, I'd like her to please stand. We have one of our teachers here from Davis. Oh, not yet. We got you. We got you. That's my fault. I should have said a teacher first. Carol Halls, are you here, please? Wonderful. Could I have you come to the podium for just a moment, please? Again, it's just reaffirms to me the importance that educators make in the lives of our students. There's just no greater profession where you're able to influence and bring out the talents of others the way that we can in education and the way that our teachers do. It's so nice to see you again, and just on a personal level, the influence that you had in Morgan's life, and she continues to pursue an art degree post-secondary. So thank you for that. And I'm excited for you and your students and that you have here with us this evening. Up on the screen, you can see that we have the ESD 105 Regional High School Art Show winners. Would you like to make any comment and walk us through some of these, if you would?
Green lights always say go. Okay. My students actually couldn't be here. She's in a play, and so she's at play practice, and then we had soccer and softball and all these things, and tennis today. So, but this is Camille Tetro, and they're all self-portraits this year, and this is her in a play, and in the background, you can't see it, but she said, you know, when you're up in front of people, you hear the audience, and some are like, oh, she's so good. And then you'll hear someone, well, I don't really like the way she, you know. And so the comments were in the background. And so she titled this A Matter of Perspective. She was going to have a drama, the drama in my life, but she decided to change that. And then Leslie Badillo, this is up close and personal. And so she just took a picture of herself brushing her teeth, something we do every day. And so all of us can relate to that. And this is Christian Mendoza, and he's in the sunglasses, and his friend Juan, and it's called Two Roads. And the two roads in our life, like in high school, it's the road behind you, as a senior, and then the road in front of you. And he put a tunnel there because, you don't always know what's in your future. So there were some deep meanings, and that was in colored pencil. The up close and personal was colored pencil, and the other was pastel.
Thank you. And can you tell us the next steps now for the art contest?
Yeah, so those three are going to the state, to OSPI. And last year, they're against the winners of the ESGs in the state. And last year, there were only 18, and 2 of them were from my class. So I was, that was a big deal. And they had their 50th anniversary celebration in Seattle. This year, I think it's going to be virtual. But yeah, we're really excited about it. And it's been a pleasure to show kids what they are, capable of doing. Every one of these kids say, I had no idea I could do this. And it's one of the great things of teaching what I teach, to show them that through effort and perseverance, they can do amazing things and spread beauty to this world.
Wonderful. Thank you. Does the board have any questions of Carol?
No questions, but in a year or two ago, I attended one of the art shows there at Davis and was just really impressed with the artwork there. And so congratulations on continuing to have the impact on kids and continuing to see the success that they're having.
Thank you. Yes, and we'll have that again in May.
Okay.
We'll have
Please send an invitation to the board.
Yes, we will. And I can help with the photographer.
Wonderful. That would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
This is fantastic.
And who are the students that are with you?
Well, this is Mr. Rist he's doing the TSA and tomorrow they do that. And so who are the students? And both and I were talking.
And Helica, could you tell us about your piece?
So I always see mushrooms inside my grandma's backyard, and my family always just pull them out. They're like pests or weeds or something. I really like mushrooms because they always come in like a lot of different shapes and like colors and everything. And I was like, let me just show them a different point of view so they can see how I like to see the mushrooms from a really nice point of view. So I was able to show them that picture and they really liked that.
Thank you so, so much. And who else is with you, Ms. Wilson?
It's Hawaiian, right?
It is. It is actually a short version. The picture that I took last time I went to go visit my ohana down in Oregon. It was kind of a bittersweet picture because I knew next Christmas I wouldn't be able to see them again because they were moving away. And I wanted to capture the happiness that by going down my broccoli. With my mom's phone, I take a picture. The sunset I want to see.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And then I think we have one more. Yes. Souls?
Yeah, this one is in charcoal, white and black charcoal. And this was a picture of her when she was 4 years old. And she titled it Cherished Moments. And she's, talked about how she was able to capture that time in her life through her drawing. And, that's what you can see when they speak about their photographs. There's an emotional connection to art. And, some people are connected to, when they come to our art show, they'll see a piece and they're connected to it. Whereas another person wouldn't be connected to that, but they are the next one. And it's just it's really cool how we can see ourselves in and make those connections emotionally.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We'd ask you to stay up there for just a moment. We do have one other that is not here today, which is Miguel Larios. It looks like the title is Tranquilidad. And again, teacher Jeff Risk just does some wonderful things in his photography class, but also in his multimedia class. I know that he does the DNN network that we send sometimes out to our board to see what's happening around the school. So we want to thank all of our teachers, but we will take a quick photo. I do want to recognize that we will have you back. We know that this is not the end, so this is going on to the state level, but we'd just like to take a moment and take a quick photo.
Yeah, the two ESD winners did win $500 apiece for their pieces. The ESD's been very gracious.
All right. I'd like to thank the board for indulging me in this superintendent update to fill my bucket, because that certainly did fill my bucket. It's wonderful to see what is happening with our students and the great work that's happening in our classrooms. At this point, I would like to just take you through a couple of photos that are up on the screen, a little bit in the day of the life of a superintendent, but also a school board. And as you can see, during our last visitation, we were at Stanton Phoenix over there at Stanton Academy. And it recognizes certainly the influence of you as board members around student achievement through your decisions, policies, budgets, and leadership. So thank you again for the visitation over at Stanton the last time that we were together in an official board capacity in an evening event. As you move through the photos, I am a part of the Downtown Association of Yakima. This is a board meeting that I did attend, and it really is a great way to find opportunities for our youngest citizens to be considered in economic decisions and really daylights possibilities for the Yakima School District within our city. As we move forward, we also, had an opportunity to visit our transportation department, and just such a wonderful place to be, and seeing the unwavering commitment of our drivers, that they ensure the transportation of our students across the district and really across the state. And every member is so crucial in the lives of our students. And as you're aware, we know that many of our students start our days off with our transportation department, and that's the first interaction or last interaction that they have with an adult. And so that is of great importance. You might see me here with an institution here in the district, and that is Phil English over at Eisenhower. So I did pay a visit to Eisenhower. It must have been last Monday. The great thing about Phil is, of course, he works so diligently for students and mobilizes them in a way that benefits them first, but also our community. I think he is a great representation of a lot of the work that went in to passing the levy. As you know, he is a cross-country coach and track coach, and he was mobilizing students across the system to be very visible out in the community, and was a member that had lived the reality of a double levy failure some time ago and was able to communicate that across multiple people in our system. And so every time that I was able to talk with him, we were able to reflect on that time period and the importance of coming together and being unified as a community and what that means for our students. So he certainly is a great example of all of our teachers here in the district, and it was a joy to visit with him. We've had some reorganization changes that I have shared with the district, and just wanted you to have an example or to see some photos of the new people coming in. Here we have Jewel Brumley, who is an assistant principal currently at Davis, that will be assuming one of our executive director roles next year of the secondary. You see that we have Casey Mitchell, who will take over special education at the executive director role. And I believe we have three of our, two current leaders at the executive director level in Hector and Maria, But Jamie Lee, principal at McClure, will be joining the team in special education services as one of our directors. As you can see on the side that I shared, there are multiple reasons for looking at internal advancement. I have listed 6 there, just the advantage of talent retention, professional growth, morale and motivation, personal leadership development, student impact, and community trust and continuity. So it's wonderful when we can promote from within, and we really are reflecting on those internal opportunities to advance leadership. You may or may not know, but our deputy superintendent, who is excused this evening, had a birthday. So sometimes it's not all work, but recognizing the people around you. And there's this photo of our students, because every decision that we really make is centered around students. We try to keep that vision at the forefront. And I can tell you that Stacy is one who always does that and considers how we can make things better for our students. And I know that she's not here, and maybe she won't hear this, but for someone who's been in our system filling roles all the way from, I remember back from assistant principal to nationally recognized principal at Eisenhower, multiple roles here in the district. And you talk about advancement from within now as deputy superintendent. The knowledge that she brings has really been on display as we have gone through this difficult budget reductions that so many districts find themselves confronting as we move forward in this precarious financial state in public education currently. There we go. We have our CTE changes. This is one of our new program managers who is coming on board. We are seeing a continued growth around our CTE programs. And of course, CTE does bring additional funding across our system. That was Nicole Bass, who you saw. She's currently an assistant principal at McKinley Elementary. So she'll be working in our CTE department, her little baby there. She's just coming back from maternity leave. And there you have Gabe Stotts, who is currently an assistant principal at Davis. He was an intern who came through our system, was obviously a graduate of Davis, very proud of that when he came on board a year or so ago. And he'll be working internally in the district, augmenting the CTE programs that we have across the secondary level. And we look forward to more opportunities in that middle school level, bringing in more CTE programs, and again, therefore, more funding to the district. And then here we have Bonnie Smith, who continues as the lead at YV Tech and has just been a beacon there in the short time that she served in that position. So she was a great addition that will continue with us. You may recognize some of these individuals. This is our student voice, kind of our fellowship group. And this was the final review of changes to the student-driven student voice policy. So we met, I believe it was last week. It feels like it was a month ago, but I guess it was last week. And you can see the 2 on the bookends are 2 of our new fellows that are coming on board. So the inner, we have Valeria and Ezra on the inside. And I should have brought the names of the other 2. We just came on board, so I have some learning to do as they come on board as fellows. But the 4 of us were able to revisit the student voice policy, of which you have all participated as members of the board, and that will be coming forward. They will present to you within the next month. And I believe we're almost, there it is. You may remember this. This was just yesterday at our board retreat. So I want to thank the board for participating. And I think it was a wonderful day, the retreat that we had, the people that we brought in to shepherd us through the process of growing as a unit and understanding all of the changes. One of our events, if you go back to the beginning there, Barb, was going to the new addition at the Discovery Early Learning. There we are as a board and some additional members. And then if you pan out, I believe we can see at least part of the building that we were able to visit, and then some snapshots from the inside the kitchen, of which we learned is going to serve quite a few students. They will eat in the classroom. As you remember, that is not a cafeteria. That is a preparation area for our students. And moving forward, the classes were just wonderfully large, going to give a lot of room for our students and our teachers. And there we go with the outside. You saw the previous photo was the usual suspects. I believe that was all of you. There we go. So you go back forward, then the back, there's still plenty of terrain in the back of the Early Learning Center for us to have equipment and for students to stretch and get out there and experience that recess period. So again, just this is a wonderful way to capture what's happening around our district, the positive things and the contributions that are made not only from our board, but from our staff members and our students in improving opportunities for those who are we're here to serve, and those being the students. Do you have any questions at this time? This was a kind of a quick overview, but I wanted to share some of the great things that were happening, and thank you for your continued service and the time that we had yesterday during our board retreat.
Any questions or comments?
Great. Then lastly, what I'd just share is that in the legislative session ending on the 7th, I've asked Jake Cooper to share a little bit of that information during his budget share out here. So there will be a recap somewhat of that information from a high level. That concludes.
Thank you, Dr. Green, and thank you to our art faculty and art students. I have a deep appreciation for the visual and performing arts, so it's always nice to see that tradition continue in our high school. So thanks for being here. Next up, we have calendar updates and future agenda topics, and we'll lead off with Kirsten, that's highlighting some things for us.
Thank you, President Walker. Well, I always like to bring a little bit of humor to these calendar updates for you, so tonight will be no exception. But first, I want to remind you that there is a list publicly through the board website of all the varsity sports going on this week that are home games that we can all attend. And then, of course, all of the different events that are happening at our schools, from orchestra performances to NHS induction ceremonies to band performances, Mr. Ike ceremony, etc. But tonight I wanted to be able to tell you about some district-wide events going on this month and next, so that you can plan your schedule if you are available. First, for the humor, I wanted to hold my husband accountable publicly on the date he has asked me to go on this Thursday for the opening event of the musical Oklahoma at Eisenhower at 7 p.m. So if you do not see me there on Thursday, it means my date was broken. There are also running on March 15th, 16th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. They're at 7 p.m. unless they're running on Saturdays. Saturdays also run a 2 p.m. matinee. On March 15th, Mardi Gras dinner and silent auction by the Davis Boosters at Davis. Tickets still available. On April 16th, there is a parent-family engagement event at Eisenhower featuring Japanese cultural showcase. As you know, we will have the Japanese here for the Yamate Exchange, and that is a cultural show with 77 Japanese students who will run 12 different academic booths teaching about culture and different items like calligraphy. You can wear the yukatas and get photos, and then they will do an hour-long performance in the auditorium. We will have Japanese food there for dinner, so please join us from 4 to 7 p.m. on April 16th. And then another high school musical, so possibly another date for Kirsten. That will be April 18th, 19th, 20th, 27th, the high school musical at Davis. And that too will be at 7 p.m. unless there is a matinee at 2 p.m. on Saturdays. And that's what I have for you tonight.
Thank you so much.
Kirsten, that's not just a generic title for the play at Davis, correct?
No, it is not. That's a very popular musical title, so I hope you'll all go.
Okay, any other questions about the calendar or comments or things that someone would like to highlight? Okay, you have the complete calendar in front of you on your board docs. Okay, next up we have our monthly financial update with Mr.
Good evening, everybody. So before I begin on the financial update, I would like to provide you a brief overview of the legislative session, particularly focus on the financial outcomes. So throughout the session, we often hear of what's going to happen, and then when sine die happens on March 7th, we know what has happened. So I'm always thankful for a short session, and I'm actually always thankful when the legislature's gavelled out. For numerous reasons, both because that provides me surety financially, but also surety just generally, because they're not in. So the main drivers, of course, the biggest chunk of funding the district will receive next year from the legislature of new funding will be from the 3.7% IPD, or cost of living adjustment, as formerly known. That, of course, comes with a large unfunded portion for the school district. So the IPD of 3.7% actually cost the district $3.2 million to execute for all its employees out of the local levy. So, as I said before, inflationary adjustments for salary and benefits are great for the individual, but are hard on the organizational finances. So I'd just like to point that out. So there's another IPD or inflationary adjustment coming. The other thing that the legislature always surprises me in the session. So this year they decided, and I believe they were hearing the districts as they begin to reduce budgets and around the state, is that they're going to provide us unanticipated mid-year revenue. So 2023-24 current school year, there is an increase in the materials, supplies, and operating cost allocation for this fiscal year. And there was lots of policy discussion and fiscal discussion on what we like to call as the para bill, which initially came out from the superintendent's office with a compliance requirement, and then would have increased the amount of paras we both had to maintain and continue to staff going forward. That bill changed over time, as things often do in Olympia, and became an adjustment to the prototypical schools model, which is basically the apportionment system. So the main drivers on how we receive state funding. So to that end, between the mid-year increase in material supplies and operating costs and the change in paraeducator or support staff allocation, it's about $700,000 in mid-year revenue. So that will obviously play in some of our budgetary reduction amounts as we move forward. That is, the planned reductions are set to come before this body in a few weeks. But again, that will help us as we monitor our lower cash flow than we like. But again, the legislature continues to surprise. So $700,000 mid-year. The other large investment is the second installment of the physical, social, and emotional support staffing. So again, changing the funding model that drives out the number of staff for psychologists, social workers, nurses, and then safety and security staff more broadly, both classified and certificated. So to that end, I'm still working on finalizing those numbers, but it had driven positive revenue in the district for next fiscal year. And then the wild card that I believe I have a solid estimate for was the legislature committed $76 million to transportation funding. They are required to put those funds in as they adjust the allocation via inflation, and so they often have to do a catch up. So this year, there was $76 million apportioned for transportation funding. When you look at our pro rata share, assuming the funding or the formula is constant, which it has not changed, it will be about an additional $400,000 for transportation. That will mostly cover the increase COLA and IPD I talked about, and also there was an increase in health benefit allocation. So those are the major drivers to the district for funding. We discussed yesterday a few larger policy bills that I think the education community is still digesting. One is the Parent Bill of Rights that passed, didn't go to initiative. There were also smaller changes in several other policies, but that has been the main one that we haven't heard about. May have an effect on day-to-day operations. So that's all my news, brief news from the legislature. And Director Rice, am I missing anything? I know we talked about a few things. Okay. And then on to the budget presentation. Again, moment of highlight and humility always is the budget enrollment is below projection by almost 350 students at 2.2%. I'd like to point out on this side, of course, is our enrollment trend. I know the numbers are very small, but that is basically a 5-year look at enrollment. What I'd like to point out is if you look at October enrollment in 2019-20, look at our current enrollment, I believe that's very close to 1,000 students different. You can't see those numbers from here, but if I recall, that is the difference. If you remember from the budget presentation originally in the summer, late summer, when we did a 5 or 6 year look back in 2017-18, we were down 1,250 students. So just like to point out the enrollment has changed over time. That's a terrible graph. I know that's in budget to actual. It's not beautiful. I may have to make some changes to that just for illustrative purpose next cycle. General fund revenue to actual. So see slightly in February, the blue bar is our actual, and the budget is the dark bar next to it. We are slightly below our projections in revenue, at least for the monthly period. But as you can see, when you go out through the year, there are some months where that turquoise teal bar is above the budgeted amount. So overall, we are very close in line with overall revenue projections for this year. The expenditures as well. I'd like to point out in February, you see the expenditures are slightly above our projection. That was due to the timing of a large running start payment. So we have running start payments that go out on semester quarter on the billing agency. So there was a large running start payment that went out the door in February. My favorite slide, and one I always like you to look at intensely, is cash. So we talked about the peaks and valleys of cash flow for a school district. Those peaks in the fall and spring as we collect taxes, and then the trough in the middle. We are in the trough. This is where the cash will be the tightest throughout the fiscal year. We are about $3 million below projection. If you look at that top peak of the green line, which is my projected amount, and the actual in the dark blue, our darker line. That will come into projection looking at my spending and revenue patterns in the next few months. Cash flow will be in line with projection. And we should be able to make up some of that ground shortly. But again, make sure you know where it makes me nervous. We make you nervous, and then of course is our cash is in that trough during the spring period. So we're going to continue and hopefully bob right along the projection and bounce back up as taxes are collected. Material supplies and operating costs, as I noted in the earlier slide, and a little more accentuated here because the payment for running start is a contractual payment, so it shows up in the MSOCs. So it's just a little more accentuated because this is only your non-personnel costs that are determined here. And then last but definitely not least is our summary of our ESSER spending to date. We do have an amount that is encumbered and still remaining, and that amount gone is to round out the discovery or the incentive project. And then ESSER funds will be really expended for the YSD, which is no small feat, even though it's a large amount of one-time funds. So, are there any questions on the monthly financial report or the legislature? I'd be happy to.
Any questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.
We've arrived at our first opportunity for comments from the public on agenda items. Is there anyone signed up to comment?
My name is Duff DeWitt. I am a teacher at Eisenhower High School, English department chair. I'm the YEA bargaining chair. I'm also a parent of 3 Yakima School District students, 2 at Franklin and 1 at Nob Hill. My comments this evening are in response to Mr. Cooper's budget presentation. I wanted to recognize in that the efforts that community and staff put out to get that levy passed in order to help create some opportunity that would not have been in the budget otherwise. And in addition to that, the joint effort between YEA and our levy committee to get the word out to make sure that happened. That was a great success. The passing of that levy was palpable excitement for our members, however short-lived for many of our members, hundreds of which are unsure of their future as it stands in the district, whether it is for employment moving forward or in positions that may be moving or changing based on need or necessity. Much like much like a family, the members of our school community thrive when there is consistency and stability in an environment. And when that consistency is removed for circumstances in which they have no control over, it creates a level of uncertainty and fear in our members. And that is one of the things that I wanted to sort of to bring in front of the board today, is an understanding of what a large percentage of our Yakima educator community sits in a position of fear now, waiting for the next board meeting in a few weeks to understand the gravity of what this budget situation will turn into. Change in our industry is unavoidable and is a constant, but when the change is not change that has been under the control of an individual, that's when it feels scary. That's when fear sets in. And so again, I wanted to just to recognize the fact that we have a large number of people who are in the early stages of this adventure, which is working in the education, in the educational environment, that are most predict in the first 5 years is where you're going to make it or break it in this business. That's where you're either going to hang on and make it through, or it was not going to be a fit for you. And obstacles such as this make it really challenging to keep those people motivated with the challenges that are before us. So with that, I'm going to close my comments and again, recognizing that the next few weeks and months are a challenge. I look forward to the work that we are all putting forth, both as a union, but also you guys in the district, in making sure that the communication is clear and concise, and that we are working in partnership to ensure that our members understand as much as they can understand what is happening and why in the next few weeks. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments and thank you for your work as one of our staff members. Okay, next up we have some approvals, we have consent agenda. Now we have consent agenda. So within the content agenda, we have approval of minutes of prior meetings, notification of approval of warrants for February 2024, approval of personnel actions, and approval of the budget status report. Is there any board member that would like to see any consent agenda item removed for further discussion or study? Okay. That said, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Barb, would you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett?
Aye.
Director Navarro Jr.?
Aye.
Director Rice?
Aye.
Vice President Villanueva?
Aye.
President Walker?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Next up, we have the Asset Preservation Program Annual Board Report. So Maria.
We have 3 different documents. Would you just like me to read the executive summary, or shall we go through in detail? I have our director of maintenance as well.
I'm comfortable with it.
So this is a process that happens every 6 years where we are required to go through and make an assessment of the shape of our buildings, the, for lack of a better term, the depreciative abilities of our building. And when it comes to actually passing a bond, makes a difference into the matching district money the district will get from the state. So we have completed this process. There are 3 documents in there giving you an executive summary, a detailed summary, and then Jake's assessment, as well as the finance individual. And what I would recommend is passing this as part of our requirement to the state of Washington. If you need more details than that, then as I said, I also have our director of maintenance who can walk you through anything that you need to know regarding this process.
Would you mind highlighting the most pressing needs in terms of building needs?
In summary, with the exception of our 2 high schools and Stanton Academy, that is our newest building,
Everything that we have is over 30 years old. Everything that we have is eligible for the maximum amount of reimbursement from the state of Washington due to the age of our district. In essence, we work in an old district. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
I do have a question. Doesn't appear that all the schools are included. Can you talk about that?
Yes, again, it would, let me look at the more detailed document that you're referring to. So Kelly, you want to help me out with these different ratings and what they mean? Again, what you'll notice is Davis High School has one of the higher numbers, Stanton Academy and Yakima Technical, because they are our newer buildings. But as we work our way down through the document, we then start to get into the older buildings. I do not know why every single building was not on at this particular time.
I do. So the asset preservation program is not the same as the study and survey, which comes next in your agenda. So the asset preservation program is a requirement by the state of Washington that when you receive state matching funds for construction, that you provide them a intermittent update on the condition of those buildings. That's what's before you over there. That's why all the buildings are not on the asset preservation program. So don't worry about it. That's a nuance that you might not know. I know that you just inherited that process. So that's why it's to ensure that you are preserving buildings that you have any state matching funds or have in lieu of modernization of. And then on the next agenda item, you will see the ICOS, which is the system where we grade all the buildings district-wide. So there's just a slight difference in what you're seeing, but the reason is the APP, as it's called, is just dedicated to monitor buildings that have received any type of state matching funds.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you for saving me, Jay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the asset preservation report?
So moved.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the asset preservation program annual board report. Any other questions or comments? Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Director Beckett?
Aye.
Director Navarro Jr.?
Aye.
Director Rice?
Aye.
Vice President Villanueva?
Aye.
President Walker?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
And next up, we have the approval of resolution 03.23.24, the ICOS study and survey acceptance as complete. And Mr. Cooper will provide us with that.
So I would obviously recommend adoption of the resolution before you this evening. And this is a good news resolution because this is a step in the process. The district has undergone the study and survey, and the study and survey is done by usually an architecture firm, which we contract with in town. And we completed that work actually when we were doing the facilities advisory committee. And so we use that data, and you will see all the buildings that are in there, and they get a BCS, which is a building condition score, I believe. I know we use a lot of acronyms. But ICOS is the system where you input your square footage, your age, your condition of your buildings, and then it provides you a raw score. As we talked about when we worked through the facility committee process, we looked at that data in depth and determined which buildings had the lowest score, which means they are in the worst condition. And your receipt of the report as it's provided to you is a requirement in order for us to eventually receive state matching funds, as we talked about. But this also allows us to get reimbursement for the cost, the study and survey via a grant with OSPI. So twofold, an upvote allows us to access the grant funding that we needed to do the study and survey. And then secondarily, it is the required if we're going to access any state matching funds going forward. And I failed to mention earlier in my legislative update that the state matching funds were increased for the first time in a long time by almost $100 a square foot. So moving this forward is more important now than ever. So if you have any questions, I would recommend reading through the scores. It's pretty fascinating. We have very aged facilities that need considerable improvement, and that's reflected in those scores as well.
Any other questions, I'd be happy to answer. Okay. Any questions or comments? Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the study and survey as completed and presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve resolution 03.23.24. Any other questions or comments? Barb, call the roll, please.
Director Beckett,
Aye.
Director Navarro Jr.,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Vice President Villanueva,
Aye.
President Walker.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you all. We've now arrived at our second opportunity for comments from the public. Do we have any more commenters?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Do you believe we have need for executive session for that?
Exactly.
So do I hear a motion to adjourn to executive session?
I move that we adjourn to executive session for the purpose of potential litigation, and our attorney will be present for a period of 20 minutes, and we'll be in the library, in the professional library.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we will move, let's move immediately to the library. Meeting adjourned.